Yesterday we finished the Gemara on the Beis of Beis, where the Gemara says that what does kinu mean? And the Gemara said that it creates like an anger either between the husband and the wife, because she becomes angry why he is suspecting her, and the Gemara said another opinion that it creates some type of grievance between people and the wife, because they're beginning to wonder what happened that she's suddenly not friendly with them anymore. According to these both meanings, so it's not the kinu is not the right thing to do, because to create friction between people is not the right thing. So the Gemara says now, starts on Gimel Medalev, Alma Kasabri, according to these two interpretations, we see that they hold the Osra Kanis, that it's forbidden for the husband to be Mekana's wife. Uman de Oma Mutla Kanis. There is an opinion also that it's Mutla Kanis. So Malash and Kinu, what does Kinu mean? Amar Rab Nachman by Yitzchak ain't Kinu el Rosh Hasra. Kinu means a warning. The Eibishter warned about his land to the Goyim that they be careful. Now the Gemara says a new thing. Tanya Hoyer Rab Meir said, Adam by Vaveda B'Seisa. A person does an Aveda B'Seisa hidden. V'Kadosh Baruch Hu machas olah b'golu. And the Eibishter publicized it. Shenema Shetin Pasuk, V'Ava Olav Ruach Kina. So what does it mean V'Ava Olav? They will. So Ein Aveda El Lashon Achroza. Achroza means that it will be announced. Shenema V'Yitzav Moshe by the Mishkan. Shtei V'Yitzav Moshe V'Yaviru Kol B'Machna. What does it mean that they announced? So Saint Elsa V'Ava Olav means it will be announced. Shloka says, Ein Adam Ayiv Aveda Elam Kein Nichtas Bei Ruach Shtus. Shenema Ish Kisishta Ishtay. So Tishteh from the word Shaita Ksiv. They did a foolish thing. Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. The yeshiva Rabbi Shmuel learned Mipnei Mahem Mina Torah Eidacha B'Saita. What we learned yesterday that normally you always need two Eidas. So why is by Sotah one Eid is believed that she became Tamei? So Gemara said the reason Sheraglayim Mudava, because there's good proof. Sharikinala, he warned her, Vinistara, and she hid with her in seclusion. Ve'edacha Meida, she Tameya, and then it comes along. So it's sort of. It's not just a thing that happens suddenly, comes along and Eidah and begleibt. But this lady already has a reputation of something strange about her. In fact, the Gemara Amr the Papa said Abaya, Wakik Sivs Kino Bosa Stira V'Tumahu Diksiva. According to the Psukim over there, it says that Stira and later is kinu. So Gemara Amalei said to them, the pasuk of V'Ava Ruach Kina. What does it mean V'Ava? It means, he said, V'Ava means, and it already happened. It was said that she will be Nistra, and it already happened that he was Mekanaha. In fact, the Gemara, if you say that V'Ava means that it already happened, so V'Ava Lechem Kol Chalutz Hachinami. When Moshe said to the Bnei Gad and Reuven that you want a chelik in Eivra Yarden, but he made it. So they said no, we'll go to war. So he said, what does it mean that it already happened? They didn't cross the Yarden yet. They didn't come into Eretz Yisrael. So it seemed that V'Ava doesn't mean that it already happened. She says, Hasam over there, V'avataka means, and you will do it later. Midiksiv, the pasuk said, V'nich b'sha'aretz v'nei Hashem v'achot hashuvah. He said, you will go in front, and v'nich b'sha'aretz, the land will be conquered. So it can't be that you do it before, because the land isn't conquered yet. So over there, it's an exception. But here, Isa, so that's why we must say over there, but means that later you will go. He's Moshe's conditioning with them what they're going to have to do. But here, Isa Adaita Kidiksive, if you will go just following the way that says in the Psukim, and say that's the order. So, Ba'ava Basa Tuma Ustida Kinu Lamali. Why do you need on Kinu? According to the other in Mashra, so Ba'ava means, and there was Kinu Stida, and Ba'ava, and he already had warned her. Now the Gemara says, Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. Ein Adam Mekane Le'ishtay Elam Ke Nichlasa by Ruach. There's a certain spirit, in other words, what caused that the man should warn his wife? He's permeated with a certain spirit. Shenema v'ava olav ruach kina v'kina esishtay. My ruach. So what is the ruach? What is the spirit that we're talking about? So Gemara says, ruach tuma. It's not a good spirit that he's suspecting his wife for such things. That's not the proper thing to do. Rav Ashi ruach tara. Rav Ashi ruach tara. In other words, the husband wants his wife to do the right things, so that's why he did it. Mistavra, and the svara is command ruach tara. Why do we say command ruach tara? The Gemara says now as follows: the Tanya we got in the Brayso said the possible kina is ishtoi, and he will be mekan his wife. Rishus David Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says it's not a must; it's a rishus. He's allowed to warn his wife. And Rabbi Kiva chayva. Rabbi Kiva says that it's a chayv. If he sees his wife doing something wrong, not behaving properly, it's a chayv to warn her. If you say that this comes from a good source, a pure source, Shabbat is good, and we understand, but if you say that it comes from a bad source, is the shus v'chayva v'inish ruach tumah b'nafshay? Could it be that someone will say that you must do it? It comes from Yetzer Hara, it comes from Sotah. So how could it be that someone should say that you must be mekan? Now the Gemara is going to explain this machlokes of Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel about the shus and chayva. The Gemara says, Gufa, we just learned. The kina is ishtay, rishus divid Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says it's a rishus. Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Kiva says it's a must. Then there's another din, by a kohen being metama to his relatives, state lo yitama. So again, there's a machlokes, lo yitama rishus divid Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi. And then there's another din, lo'egam b'hem tavaydu, that if you have a goyish knecht, is lo'egam b'hem tavaydu, you should always make him slave for you. So rishus divid Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says that it's a rishus, and Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi. And Rabbi Kiva says it's a chayva. So now the Gemara is going to explain these three inyanim over here. We have machlokes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Taisus asks a question over here that does it mean to say, if Rabbi Kiva says the chayva, right? So it's one of the 613 mitzvahs. If Rabbi Shmuel says chayva, does that mean that Rabbi Shmuel holds that there aren't 613 mitzvahs? The Taisus says no, that Rabbi Shmuel will have other mitzvahs which he will count those in place of these. That Rabbi Kiva. And there's the Moini HaMitzvah, those who count the mitzvah. There's the Ramban, there's the Rambam, there's the Ben Yisrael. There's different ways of counting the 613 mitzvahs. So, for the Gemara, Amalei Papa Labaya, V'Amri, and some say that Rabbi Shiur said to Rava, Lema should we say, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, B'chol HaTorah Kula Halki Pligi, that in all the 613 mitzvahs, they're going to argue if it's a chayv or it's a shus. So he says, Omar, the Mar Omar shus, the Mar Omar chayv, Omalei, Hacha B'kroi Pligi. Over here, it depends how you touch the psukim. And the Gemara explains. The pasuk says, "V'kina sishta the shus David Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva in Mechayva." My time with Rabbi Shmuel. What's the reason for Rabbi Shmuel? That's the shus. Sabok Haitana. The son we learned that Belezer ben Yaakov Aimen Klape Shom Torah. Being that the Torah said, "Lesis Lasachicha B'Vavecha," is Yachol Kaganzu that you shouldn't be mekana. You shouldn't. It shouldn't. You don't have any hatred to your wife. So Gemara said, Talmud Ravim Abba Ruach Kina V'Kina Stishtay, and so it said no. It's an exception. You could over here. You could. But Rabbi Akiva says Kina Achiniksiv. There's another pasuk where it says Kino, and Meir would be it says twice two psukim. So he makes it a chayva, not just a reshus. But Rabbi Shmuel, there's two psukim, so why does he say it's a reshus? He says, because the boy v'michtav v'hinit more v'hilaynit more, being that he wants to say that's the psukim, that maybe she became talking that's a suffix, it can see v'nami v'kina esishtai, so it says also v'kina esishtai, v'katanya d'vei Rabbi Shmuel, the Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel, Kol Parsha Shenemar V'Nishnas, every Parsha that's repeated twice in the Torah, V'Nishnas Ela B'Shul Dovish and is Chadash Bo. It comes to tell you a Chiddush, and the Chiddush is that the Besafik is also Tamei. Now we also brought down Lo Yitamo by the Kain with the with his relative. So Lo Yitama is the shus, David Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva and Mechayv, Rabbi Akiva says it's a chayv. My time with Rabbi Shmuel, they says it's shus. He says, I did Ksiv. Being that it says, Amor El-Kanim, El-Kanim b'nei Adam, Amat Aleim v'nefesh Lo Yitama b'amov. So we know that Kai is not allowed to be Metamet to a mess. So it's the Chol Michtav Lo Yitama. Therefore, the Torah has to say Lo Yitama. Over here is an exception. But it's not a chiyuv. Rabbi Akiva says, "Michiyim l'sheira nafka." The pasuk says that to his relative. So you know already that he's allotted to the relative. Why does he have to say lo yitama? So therefore he says, "Lama nichtav yitama lamali lo yitama lam." Why do we need the right again lo yitama? That the chayva that it's a must. Rabbi Shmuel said that Lam Matama comes to teach us something else. If there's a part of a body, not the whole body, so you can't be Matama to that. You can only be Matama to a whole body. Rabbi Akiva, Im Kain, if that's what the title wants to tell you, let it just say law and not say anymore. Yitama, why does it say Yitame? So the Yitame comes to tell us that it's a chayva. Rabbi Shmuel says, you're right, but I did the law has to say to tell you that can be Matama. So Kasunami Yitama, so he writes us the extra word Yitama, Kid Tani Devei Rabbi Shmuel, again as before, the Tani Devei Rabbi Shmuel, Kol Parsha Shenemar V'Nishnas, everything that's repeated extra in the Torah, V'Nishnas Ela B'Shul Dovasha Nischadish Bo. That what? That Lele Vareha. Now the more important another thing, Lele Bem Tavaidu, it is Shuz David Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says that it's a shus to work with an Eved, keep working slaving with the Eved Kanani. And Rabbi Kiva and Mechayva. My time with Rabbi Shmuel. What's the reason Rabbi Shmuel why he says that it's a shus? So he says, I did iksiv leisachaya kol neshama, being that it says on the goyim that will be in Eretz Yisrael is leisachaya kol neshama. So it's of the Amilamit, the Mishrei to permit Echad Mekol Umais Shaba'a Kananis from the Goyim, a guy that came on a Kanani, on a Kanani woman, V'haylu b'menu ben, Sha'atar HaShoy looked nicer. Even though, because the din of by Goyim, the din is that it goes both of the father. Being that it goes both of the father, so even though the mother over here is a Kananis, and a Kananis is Leschai Kol Neshama, but the son came through a relationship with another guy, so you got to work with them. The Sanya, we learned Minayin Lechem Min Umas Shabbat Kananis V'Halig Min Ben Shatar Shoyluk Nicer. How do we know that we go according to the father, and B'Melisa, he's not considered a Kanani, he's considered something else, Spanish or what? So Gemara says, Talmud Lema, the pasuk says, V'gam mibnei hateshavim hagorim imochem mahem tiknu, from the Meshavim, the who are residing or living with you, from them you could take slaves. So it says, Yochel, I would think, Afa Kanani Shabbat Alachas Menu Umas, V'Halit Menu Ben, Sha'atar HaShoyluk Naisai, Be'eved, so it says, Talmud Lom Mishet and Pasuk, so over here is Yochel, Kanani Shabbat Alachas Menu Umas, the guy, the father is a Kanani. So, are you allowed to take him as Nevi because you go both with the mother? She says no. Talmud Leimer, Asher Heridu Ba'atzechem, Min HaNegodim Ba'atzechem, V'loi Min HaGodim Ba'atzechem. The Negodim Ba'atzechem is that's other goyim that came to Eretz Yisrael to marry a woman in Eretz Yisrael. So it's Neilud Ba'atzechem, and not from the Gorim Ba'atzechem. In other words, not from a goy, a Kanani that came on a goy from a different nation. So he says that while the pasuk tells you that you could buy them as an Eved, so that's a shus. And Rabbi Kiva says we don't need it from the pasuk Asherid V'Atzchem Mehem Tiknu Nafka Legam Mem Tavadu Gamu. So why is it said Mehem Tiknu? So why is the guy say Mehem Tiknu and Legam Mem Tavadu? So the Legam Mem Tavadu comes to tell you that it's a chayv. Rabbi Shmuel, and he says that you need the pasuk for bahem bahem tavaydu. With the goyim, you should work as a slave, but not with a Jewish slave. But Rabbi Kiva says no. B'chechem that a Jewish slave is different is misayfer the kronaf. We know from the sayfer the pasuk. B'chechem b'nei Yisrael ish kochav l'sida b'vipara. It's a fresh pasuk. So it's not the regiment of avodu comes from chayv. But Rabbi Shmuel said, I did iksiv v'chicham ksiv nami b'hem bal the state v'chicham state echad. So it says repeats again regiment of avodu. Why? Because the same thing. Kol pasha shenamer b'nishnas. Every pasha that's repeated lo nishnas ela b'shul davar shenis chadish bo. Is only repeated because the chiddush that comes to tell you that it's a reshus, not a chayv.
In other words, according to Dvei Rabbi Yishmael, the Torah repeats things even though there's no special limit from it.
Right. Okay, now we go to another thing. Amar of Chizar said, Znus b'beisa. If in a family, if in a home, there's znus, in other words, someone is committing adultery is kikara l'shumshum. That's like a bug that gets into shumshum. Shumshum is poppy seeds, and to get a bug out of poppy seeds on a piece of lettuce you can get the bugs out, but on poppy seeds to get them out would be almost impossible. And then the Gemara says, Tukva b'beisa. Tukva means anger. If there's anger in a family, again, is kikara u'shumshum. Is the same. Is like bugs that got into poppy seed. You know that you have to throw out the whole thing. There's nothing to do to clean it up. That's the Gemara. This all means if the wife is committing adultery, or if the wife is angry, but if the husband is the one who's doing it, that doesn't break up the family. You could live with that, you know.
Don't women get upset very easily anyway?
I once had a big dentator about there was someone that wasn't behaving properly, and the wife came to Bezdin and said, "Must I divorce my husband?" So I said, "If it would be the reverse, then there must be a divorce. But if the way this is, then there doesn't have to be a divorce." And Baruch Hashem, they're married today many years with children that are shluchim all over the world.
You took it from there.
Let's go weiter. Omar of Chissa. Another thing of Chissa is that the Tchila in the beginning, Kaiden Shechot Yisrael, before the Eden sinned, Hosh Shechina Shaidim Kol Echad Ve'echad. The Shechina was with everybody. Shenema Ki Hashem Makech Mishalel B'Kerev Machanecha. The Eibush goes in your machne. It's with everybody. Kiva Shechotu Mishalka Shechina Mehem Shenema V'Eirav V'Cha Eves Dova V'Shov Mecharecha. He'll turn his back and leave you. Amr of Shmuel, Amr of Nachman, Amr of Shmuel bar Nachman, Amr of Yonason. Kala Oisem mitzvah achas b'ayom hazeh. If he does one mitzvah, mikad mosai b'lechas lefana b'ayom haba. The mitzvah goes ahead of him to ayom haba. Shenema v'holach lefana tziklecha. V'holach lefana, it will go in front of you. V'chol oiv aved achas b'ayom hazeh. It wraps him by lechas uponov v'yemadin, and it comes in form. It stands by the yemadin. Shenema yalfosai ochas dakam yalu b'toya v'yevedu. Yalfosai means the ways of the way they conduct themselves will wrap them up, and they will go into toyu v'voyu, and they'll be lost. Rabbi Lezer said, "Kishuda by kikelev," that the Aveda is tied to the person just like a dog is tied to its master. A dog always stays close with its master. Shenema, Shaitan Posek, by Yosef, when the wife of Potiphar said to him, "Shich v'imi, Shevu Shoma Eleh, Lishkav Etzra Lias Ima." Two things, Lishkav Ima and Lias Ima. What's the two things? So Gemara said, "Lishkav Ima." Ba'aylam hazeh and v'yasima l'aylam haba. The Veda goes along with you side ba'aylam hazeh and side ba'aylam haba. Tanan we learned shahaya b'din l'chayre the din should have been u'ma eidus ha'ishayna she'ena sasa isa aylam einim is kayam as a pachas mishnayim. We said that kinu has to be mishnayim is either or stid has to be mishnayim eidus achrayna she'sasa isa aylam. We said we said in the Gemara before that for kino and stiri you need two edis, and for tumah one edis should be just the opposite. Tumah is the worst thing that can happen. So the Gemara said Tamalei state in posuk ve'ed einbo kol sheyeshbo, anything that there is. The kavachayim edis are shayna me'ata. So now we make a kavachayim to edis shayna. Uma edis achrayna she'sasa Israel. Mishkayem is beidechot. Edis shayna sasa Israel. Ein dish is kain beidechot. Talmud Lema kimotza bo evers dava. U'halun u'lema pishna edim Yakum Dova. So we have Dova. Ma Dova Amul Halin Apishnai made him. Over here also, Afkan Apishnai made him. So Gemara says, so that's how we know that it has to be 2 edis by Kinu and Stida, not by Tumah. In fact, the Gemara, Hai Miki Motzah Evers Dova Nafka. Mi Bo Nafka. We're going from the word Motzah Bo Evers, Bo, and we say Bo B'lei B'Kinu, and Bo B'lei B'Stida. Mi Bo. So Gemara says, Hachinam Mikama. Not that we, how do we know that by Kinu Stida you need 2 edis? Not from Dova. Now, because Talmud learned Bo B'lei B'Kinu, and Bo B'lei B'Stida. V'tumah B'alma B'lei Kinu B'lei Stida D'lei Mahani Eid Echad. Now, what if there was an Eid Echad that a woman wasn't nitma, but there was no Kinu Stina? So is then also an Eid Echad believed or not? So Gemara says, just read the words again. V'tumah B'alma, just Tumah, B'lei Kinu B'lei Stida. D'lei Mehemen Eid Echad Minolon. How do we know that an Eid Echad nitma goit? Because Satan pasuk Nema Bo Nema Kan Ki Motzah Bo Evers Dava V'Nema Halan Apishnai Edem Yokum Dava Oy Apishreisha Edem Yokum Dava Ma Dava Omer Halan Edem Shnayim Afkan Edem Shnayim. Okay, so in other words, we're saying that if there's tumah with Kinu Stira, then an Eid Echad is believed. Because that we know from the Eid Ein Bo. But that's only Bo, where it was Kinu Stira. But there was no Kinu Stira. Then we go back to the Apishtaim Edem Yokum Dova and Motzah Ba'avas Dova, that you have to have 2 edis. Okay, the next, another piece of Gemara.
Yeah.